We have another disastrous foreign policy blunder to report to you today. At least 30 civilians, including women, children, and babies, have been killed and dozens wounded in a NATO airstrike in northern Afghanistan in the province of Kunduz. The air raids on Thursday were in support of US and Afghan forces during an attack targeting senior Taliban commanders, according to provincial spokesman Mahmood Danish. Kunduz civilians told Al Jazeera that the death toll was even higher than the figure given by officials. So some people are saying it's 30 civilians who have been killed. Some people saying it's as high as 100 civilians. Other estimates are about 30 people killed and up to 100 people injured as a result of this. But either way, we're looking at about 30 minimum, thereabouts. So, and again, women, children, babies. So here we are again. Guess what happened directly after this? 2 U.S. soldiers were killed. This is what we call backlash. You know, you go, oh, no, it's okay because we mean well. We mean well, so whoops, we happen to do airstrikes that killed massive numbers of civilians, but it's okay because you're going to understand, right? Aren't you? You're going to understand because we meant well. So that's not going to lead to any backlash because we're on the right side and we didn't know, oh shit, now there was retaliation and 2 U.S. soldiers are dead. You know how this could have been avoided if you weren't in Afghanistan anymore? Now, again, I find it hilarious. We have to be there to protect the civilians from the Taliban, Kyle, you monster. I just told you 30 civilians were killed. We're going to protect them by killing them. We're going to protect them if it means killing every last one of them. That's not really protecting them now, is it? By the way, same thing with, it was in Kunduz, I think, also, where we attacked the Doctors Without Borders hospital. Now, why did we end up doing it? Well, it's a little murky. It's potentially the Afghan forces said, hey, there's Taliban guys in there, so let's attack. And the U.S. was like, I don't know, man, we think that's a hospital. Yeah, but it's all Taliban, so let's attack. And then they attacked, come to find out, no Taliban were killed. Massive numbers of civilians were killed. So when you do something like that, you don't get to then turn around and say, look, we have to be there to protect bad people from killing civilians. You just killed civilians, and you keep doing it. Now, nobody's arguing that the intent of the Taliban is good. Of course it's not. But what I am arguing is your supposed benign intentions obviously aren't good enough because you keep killing civilians. That's not just a whoops. That's a, oh, great, you just further radicalized people within the population. You made them turn to the Taliban and join the Taliban, and now there's going to be retaliatory attacks. Guys, we've been there for over 15 fucking years. What do you think's going to happen? No, Kyle, seriously. By year 19, we got this shit on lock. No, you don't. No, you don't. Since the beginning of the war on terror, there's only been a net increase in terrorists. So if the whole idea was to limit or eliminate terrorism, you failed miserably. The exact opposite happened. So, and when's it going to be enough? So, okay, we're still fighting a war in Afghanistan. By the way, a war nobody ever seems to talk about anymore. It's a war, and nobody's like, hey, did you know we're at war? It's just, try to find Afghanistan mentioned on TV news within the past 6 months. See how many mentions in all of TV news Afghanistan has. Very few. So we got that going on there. We got the war in Iraq still. Obama, hey, there's a lot of troops there. Oh, we drew it down. We're going to leave, just thousands of ground troops, but aren't I so liberal because I'm still fighting there with just fewer troops? So you got Afghanistan, Iraq, you got Pakistan drone strikes, Yemen drone strikes, Somalia drone strikes, you got Syria now, not just drone strikes, but traditional airstrikes as well. When does it end? When do you say, you know what, mission accomplished. Let's go home now. You're just going to drone an airstrike forever? Is that what's going to happen? And again, are you going to keep doing it even though we see the evidence? We know you just killed civilians, and that in turn radicalized more people. For every one Taliban guy you kill, you create fucking 30 more. Why are you doing it? And then meanwhile, all this money being wasted. When what? We can't get clean water in Flint, Michigan. Our infrastructure gets a grade of D. But you got $2 trillion, literally, we just covered the story, already spent $1.5 trillion on the new generation F-35 fighter jet. They need $500 million more, because, peanuts, chump change, sprinkle, Make it rain with $500 million more for the military-industrial complex. You got $2 trillion for that shitty jet which doesn't fly when the previous generation jet is fine. You got $7 trillion for the war in Iraq by 2053. Can't get clean water anywhere. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Can't make our infrastructure a grade of C+. It's stuck on a D. What are you gonna do? You got $85 billion in a subsidy for the big banks and for Wall Street every month. You can afford that. Universal health care? Nah, we can't pencil it in. What are we gonna do? This has been a failure by every objective measure. More terrorists have been created since the war on terror began. We wasted trillions and trillions of dollars. And we're killing civilians. Where's the upside? Now, don't get me wrong. What am I arguing for? I don't know. I'm not saying like ISIS, for example. Everybody should just leave them alone. What? No. The Kurds are fighting them. Okay, you can give them some humanitarian support. The Shia militias are fighting them. If you can reasonably understand that, hey, this isn't going to come back to bite us in the ass, and, these guys aren't going to, like has happened many times before, you arm fucking the Mujahideen and they come back and attack us. If you can be reasonably sure with the Kurds we know, they ain't going to attack us ever, so yeah, help them out. Cool. Some Shia militias, if you can know within reason, they're not going to commit atrocities, yada yada. Okay, then help them out too. But the idea of, no, we still need to be involved and we still need to waste all of our money and resources, we still need to kill civilians, further radicalizing people. It's just not the right thing to do. And on top of all of this, if you trust our motives and you think they're totally pure, you're beyond naive and historically ignorant. Because it's never just about that. If it was about humanitarianism and, we just care about, stopping bad people, then why are you giving billions of dollars to Saudi Arabia, who have the same ideology as ISIS? They're ISIS that made it. And you give them billions of dollars in weapons deals as you sit idly by and sometimes help them as they kill civilians in Yemen. And as they call all atheists terrorists. And as they force women to cover up. And as they tell them they can't drive. And as they behead people in the public square for sorcery and witchcraft and drug smuggling. You don't care about humanitarianism. Stop with this empire nonsense. End the empire. We don't need an empire. You can cut military spending by 50% and still have the biggest military in the world by a landslide. Hey, you know what? I'm reasonable. Boom. I'm in favor. Kyle Kulinski, am in favor of the U.S. military being the biggest military, most powerful military in the world. How about that? Guess what? You can do that and still cut 50%. Guess what? We have 800 military bases around the world. At the cost of $100 billion a year to maintain. $100 billion that could be spent elsewhere. Again, I'm reasonable. Hey, 800? Slash that in half. 400. Let's just get the conversation started and the ball rolling. Still have more bases than anybody. Still massively powerful. And instead of spending $100 billion, you spend $50 billion. This stuff is basic, man. If you can't get on board with this, you're just not well versed enough on what's happening in the world, and you should be.